แต่งน้องมันทั้งทีมันต้องมาอยู่แล้ว
Of the movie, we see a group of injured soldiers passing through a valley. One of them turns to a fellow soldier and says, "If I die here, can you deliver a message to my wife?" He continues, "I love you just as much as I did on the first day. My heart remains loyal, my love unwavering. Even if my lifeless body is buried in the ground, I shall return to possess you." Just then, a gunshot blows his head apart. Suddenly, the opposing force opens fire, unleashing a deadly barrage. One by one, the soldiers are slaughtered. One soldier, wounded and lying on the ground, watches as enemy troops advance toward him. As he turns his head, he sees a ghostly figure approaching. The ghost moves closer, while an enemy soldier draws near to finish him off. Time slows down. The ghost whispers, "If you don't want to die, I can help you, but you must let me in." She then sticks out her tongue, breaks it off, and shoves it into the soldier's mouth. His body begins to shake violently. The ghost whispers an incantation, and suddenly, the enemy soldiers turn on each other, killing one another in a frenzy. The soldier rises to his feet. He turns and looks at the ghost. The scene cuts to Yak and Sarge kicking the door open. Spotting a man inside, Yak looks disappointed and says, "That's not her." Sarge replies, "This must be a forest ghost." Yak nods. He then asks Sarge for holy water. Just then, the ghost taunts Yak. "You'll die before you find the ghost who ate your sister. It would be easier to find the one who keeps her. Your entire family is doomed." Yak smirks. "I see I'm famous. Even your ghost club knows about me." Yak presses the man, demanding to know the ghost's whereabouts. The man sneers, "Bow at my feet first." Enraged, Yak punches him hard. He gets up, and an intense fight breaks out between them. Yak slams his head against a wooden plank, and he collapses. Pointing his gun at him, Yak warns, "If you don't talk now, be ready to eat Pitsamon bullets." Defeated, the man finally confesses, "I don't know where the ghost is. All I know is that the man who keeps her, he lives in Dong Komote." Hearing this, Yak traps the ghost's soul inside a catfish and later throws it into the fire. Later, Sarge informs Yak, Hwang was the first recorded ghoul in Siam. The book Vajrayan Waiset states that he built a hut at Wat Pak Phang in Uttarakhand. Under his control, a ghoul killed and ate 3 villagers. Terrified, the villagers summoned monks to get rid of him, but nothing worked. It is believed that Hwang fled to Dong Komote. No one has seen him since. If we can find him, we might learn more about the woman in black. Yak scoffs, one ghoul controlling another. That's too much. He then asks, "Where exactly is Dong Komote?" Sarge replies, "It's a jungle teeming with dangerous supernatural beings. When I was younger, I patrolled that area. I barely survived. Going there is like fighting an army of ghosts." Yak concludes, "For the past 3 years, the ghoul has been weak, only able to prey on newborns. But that could change. I know she'll return. We need to find her keeper. We don't know when she'll awaken again to regain her power." Sarge asks, "Are you really ready for this?" Yak, determined, replies, "I can't wait. My family is in danger. I've already lost my sister, Yam. I won't let her take anyone else." The scene cuts to Yak's parents blessing his sister, Yad, and her fiancé, Pradit, on their engagement. Just then, Yak arrives. His siblings light up, happy to see him. He playfully teases Pradit, "If you're taking my sister, don't send her back. And if you break her heart, I won't let you off easy." Yad asks him to stop. Pradit promises Yak, "I will love and respect Yad. I'll take care of her until death do us part." Everyone laughs. Yak then pulls Pradit into a hug and offers him a drink. Later at night, Yak's father scolds him for his earlier behavior. Then his mother gently asks, "When will you come back home for good?" "It's been 3 years. That thing probably won't return." His father adds, "Can you stop acting like a ghost hunter, Yak? People think you've lost your mind." Yak responds, "Mr. Puth himself said she was a vengeful spirit. She will come back. Please don't stop me." A heavy silence falls over the dinner table, and without a word, Yak's father stands up and walks away. After some time, Yak and his two brothers are seen talking. Ya says, "We know she will be back." Yak expresses his concern, saying, "If I don't get rid of her, I won't be able to die in peace." Yad adds, "Ever since Yam died, Dad hasn't talked about it. He acts like nothing happened. But as soon as the sun sets, he locks all the doors and windows and keeps watch with a gun until dawn." Yas nods and says, "I think Dad agrees with us. Every night, it feels like something is circling our house, watching us." The scene then cuts to La Pla district, undeterred, where Yak is seen fixing his broken car. He tells Sarge that the radiator is leaking. Sarge suggests finding a new ride, but Yak explains that when he mentioned Don Kote, no one was willing to rent them a car. Just then, a man approaches and sits at their table. Yak asks if they know each other. The man introduces himself as Luchai and says, "If you're planning to go to Don Kote, we can go together." Yak chuckles and asks, "Are you planning to hunt animals there?" Luchai, serious, replies, "No, I'm not inviting you to hunt animals, but a ghoul, Puang's ghoul." He explains that the Vajirian Wiset book documents how Puang's ghoul killed and ate 3 locals. Those locals were his great-grandfather's daughters. He adds, "We have the same target." Then, they are seen heading to Don Kote. Luchai introduces Sem, a hunter and shaman, followed by his nephews Gyrasak and Nawin. Finally, he introduces Combe, their porter. They continue their journey and eventually reach the point where they must proceed on foot. Before entering, Sarge performs a ritual, saying, "Please open a path for us so we can find the one we seek." He then stabs a knife into the ground, but it won't budge. He says, "I don't think permission is granted, Yak." Yak replies, "Are they not granting permission, or are you just too weak?" He then repeats the ritual himself and succeeds. With that, they all step into the woods. As they leave, the soil behind them stirs with movement. As they move deeper into the woods, Nawan asks Sarge that it is said that wercats live in deep forests. Is this true, or just a story to scare children? Sarge explains that when a spirit of the dead possesses a tiger, it's called a wercat. If it's powerful enough, it can transform into a human. He continues, "Forests hold many mysterious things. If you see or hear anything strange, keep your mouth shut." Yak asks, "So what made her so vengeful that she did that to your family?" In the flashback, a group of villagers arrives at Puang's house, accusing him of being a ghoul. Enraged, the villagers set his house on fire. As the flames consume the house, the ghost of a woman begins laughing. The villagers spot her inside the burning house. Just then, Puang comes running from behind, shouting, "What on earth have you done? You've doomed us all." Desperate, Puang rushes inside, but as he enters, the house collapses. He then asks, "What about Puang? Why is he still alive?" Luchai replies, "His pet ghoul keeps him alive. After that, Puang sent her to kill all my great-grandfather's descendants. She didn't even spare my parents. Fortunately, I have this Pitsaman amulet. Otherwise, I'd be dead too." Yak says, "Just one amulet wouldn't give you the courage to hunt her here." Luchai tells, "I also have this Nam Phi iron knife, an all-powerful weapon. I've tested it by cutting the rainbow. If I can find that damn ghost, I'll kill her with this knife." Then he asks, "And what do you have?" Yak replies, "The Holy 12-gauge shotgun loaded with blessed Pitsamon bullets. One hit, and she's done for good." With that, they move ahead. As they continue walking, strange noises begin to echo through the forest. Suddenly, a snake appears, hissing as it slithers around them in circles. Gyrasak raises his gun to shoot, but Yak quickly stops him. The snake then settles in front of them. Sarge observes, "It doesn't want us to go any further. The guardian spirits sent it to warn us." Sem scoffs, "You dare block my way." He pulls out his knife and steps forward to kill it. In an instant, the snake lunges and bites off Sem's mouth. Gyrasak, in anger, fires his gun and kills the snake. Sarge yells, "I told you not to harm the animals here!" But Gyrasak remains unfazed. Combe quickly covers Sem's lifeless face. Yak says, "Let's just go our separate ways. I'm more comfortable on my own." Luchai responds, "You and Sarge can lead the way. We'll follow. I promise we won't cause any more trouble." And they all move forward. On their way, they hear the noises of ghosts. Yak asks, "They are here, aren't they, Sarge?" Sarge warns, "They are just teasing us during the day. They will give us the real show tonight." Just then, a ghost haunts them, but as they look, they find nothing. Sarge instructs that they will camp here tonight. Let's all go chop some wood and make a platform. On the other hand, Yak's father is seen closing the doors. He then sits down and drinks. After a while, he dozes off, and suddenly strong winds begin to blow. Yak's father abruptly wakes up, but when he sees nothing, he goes back to sleep. Meanwhile, in the room, Yad is drying Yi's her hair. Yad tells her to take care of their parents after her marriage. Just then, she notices that a large amount of her hair has fallen onto the towel. She then looks in the mirror that Yi is chanting a spell in a foreign language. Yi then turns her head towards Yad and says, "Do you really think you can escape me?" She suddenly starts acting strangely, puts her hand in her mouth, and pulls out a tooth. She warns, "I am here." Yad screams and tries to run, but the door shuts on its own. Just then, the door opens, and a ghost enters, strangling Yad. Yi screams for help, and the whole family rushes in, only to see Yad strangling herself. They try to calm her down, and after a while, she returns to normal, breathing heavily. Meanwhile, in the woods, everyone is sitting on a platform above the ground. Lushai warns his nephews, "No matter what happens, do not leave the platform." Nawan asks, "Why?" Lushai explains that this place is full of supernatural beings and spirits. If you hear or see anything, stay calm. Remember, they can't harm us if we don't go to them. Yak then tells Sarge, "If something happens to me here, don't bother carrying my body. You're old now." Sarge replies, "True, I can't carry your giant body, but I have a friend in the army. I'd just send up a flare, and a helicopter would come to pick us up in no time." Just then, they start hearing eerie noises, and everyone becomes alert. Suddenly, Sem comes running, screaming for help. Lushai warns Nawan, "That is not Sem. Ignore him." A strong gust of wind blows, and Sem vanishes. Moments later, they see Seem jumping down from above. Jirasak quickly climbs down from the platform. Nawan asks, "Jirasak, why did you climb down?" Jirasak replies, "Sarge instructed me to." Sarge looks at him, confused. "I didn't." Yak urgently tells Jirasak to climb back up. As Jirasak runs to get back onto the platform, a ghost haunts him. He starts hearing eerie laughter and ghosts moving around. Then, he sees a ghost sitting on the platform and, in a panic, begins firing. A bullet hits Combe, and he falls. Yak yells for everyone to get down from the platform. The ghostly, directionless voices confuse Jirasak. Suddenly, he realizes that Sem is sitting on his shoulders, forcing him to point his gun under his own chin. In a moment of horror, Jirasak pulls the trigger, blasting his own head off. His headless body collapses, and an unseen force drags it away. Sarge informs them that only a salt lick can save them now. He explains, "Salt licks are sacred ground. They can protect us from evil spirits and bad luck." Yak asks, "Where will we find one?" Sarge replies, "No idea. I just know they are in open areas." Just then, Colm starts chanting a spell. He laughs wickedly and says, "You will all die here. Who wants to die first?" Yak punches him hard, and he collapses. Suddenly, Jirasak's headless body appears from behind and starts firing. Yak quickly shoots him, but haunting whispers begin echoing from all around them. Sarge shouts, "Run!" They all take off, rushing through the foggy, eerie atmosphere. Amidst the chaos, Nawan realizes he is lost. Suddenly, he hears Lushai calling his name. He runs toward the voice, but then Luashai calls him from another direction. Confused, Nawan changes course. Nawan unknowingly reaches the same spot where they had built the platforms. Terrified, he turns back, but as he runs, a ghost grabs his leg, making him fall and crash into a tree. Meanwhile, Yak calls out to Sarge to hurry. Suddenly, Sem's ghost appears and attacks him. They engage in a fierce struggle, and Yak manages to point his gun at him. Sem sneers, "You can't help anyone. You'll die here for nothing. Go back to your family while you still have the chance to say goodbye." Yak pulls the trigger, blowing Sem's head off. Then the three of them moves forward. On the other hand, Nawan regains consciousness. He is in pain and struggles to get up. As he looks around, he sees ghosts surrounding him, terrified. Nawan stares in horror as one of the ghosts suddenly appears right in front of him. The ghosts begin advancing toward him, and he begs them not to kill him. Suddenly, everything falls silent. Just then, a tiger lunges at him from behind. Then, we see Nawan's body brutally torn into 2 pieces. In the meantime, Sarge spots the salt lick. He picks up some soil and says, "Forest demons can't enter unless we let them." He whispers a spell and scatters the soil into the air. Just then, Nawan arrives, pleading for help. "Please let me in." Yak denies, saying people fleeing from death don't ask for permission. Nawan pleads to his uncle for letting him in. Sarge interrupts. "First, recite an Atipiso prayer," but Nawan remains silent. Nawan suddenly starts growling. Slowly, he transforms into a tiger. The tiger snarls, but then turns and disappears into the forest. The next morning, Yak's family prepares to leave for Yad's wedding preparations. He asks, "Is it true that Yak won't attend your wedding?" Before Yad can respond, Yad chimes in, "If Yak breaks his promise, I'll drag him there myself." They all smile as they set off. As they leave, the radio inside the house suddenly switches on by itself. Meanwhile, Lushai asks Yak, "Will these Pitsamon bullets really kill that woman in black?" Yak replies, "They've blown out many ghosts' brains before." Later, the 3 of them are seen moving deeper into the woods. Eventually, they reach a spot that looks like an entrance. They move forward, armed and ready to attack. Sarge excuses himself, saying he's going around to look for Puang. As Sarge looks around, he sees Puang emerging from a pool of black water. Sarge raises his gun and points it at him. Puang moves toward him, and Sarge fires a warning shot into the air. Yak runs to assist. Sarge demands, "Put the voodoo doll down." Then he shoots at Puang, but nothing happens. Puang squeezes the doll in his hands, and suddenly, Sarge starts to weaken. As Puang continues to squeeze, Sarge collapses. Just then, Yak and Luchai arrive. Yak demands, "Where is the ghoul you keep? Bring her here." Puang replies, "I've never kept her. She is the one who confines me." He continues, "I've been trying to break free for over 100 years, but she just won't let me go. I can't die because her tongue is in my stomach. She forced me to find victims for her to feed on. She didn't even spare my own children. The longer I live, the more people she devours." Yak asks, "Then why didn't you kill her?" Puang laughs bitterly. "I could have succeeded, but Chloe, your great-grandfather, burned down my cabin and destroyed my ritual. I didn't want anyone else to die because of me, so I figured out a way to escape her. I hid in the forest so no one could find me. But if she knows I'm here, she will come to get her tongue back. Then her power will double, and no one will be able to stop her." Yak questions, "That woman is very powerful. Why can't she find you?" Puang chuckles, "Because I have the Wairan Chimbang amulet. It hides me from her eyes." Just then, Lushai suddenly cuts his hand. Yak shouts, "What the hell are you doing?" Lushai screams, "Come out!" "I found Puang. Come out and take your tongue back." Puang laughs bitterly. "You fool, you'll get us all killed." Lushai yells, "She promised me that if she got her tongue back, she would stop coming after me and stop devouring my family." Yak is shocked. Puang smirks, "I've been waiting to die, but I am immortal. Now my time has come. From now on, it's your responsibility." Yak asks, "What do you mean?" Just then, eerie ghostly whispers echo through the jungle, making them feel drowsy. Yak flicks his lighter, trying to stay awake. Lushai stabs his own leg to fight off the sleep. Puang looks around frantically just then. The woman appears behind him, grabbing his head. She shoves her hand down his throat and pulls her tongue from his stomach. Lushai watches in satisfaction as the woman reattaches her tongue. She then laughs eerily. Lushai says, "I had to do this to protect my family." But the woman immediately kills Lushai. She laughs as Yak shoots at her, but the bullets have no effect. She begins whispering a spell and moves toward Yak. Weakened, Yak falls to his knees. She grabs his head and continues chanting. Under her influence, Yak slowly raises his gun, pointing it at his own chest. Eventually, he pulls the trigger and falls back. The woman laughs. "What a blast. Who's next in your family? I think I'll eat them all." She bursts into maniacal laughter as the cuts to black. The scene shifts to a hotel. Yi looks out of the window while others inside prepare for the wedding. Suddenly, a loud thunderclap startles her. Just then, the lights start flickering but return to normal after a while. Yod asks the hotel staff. Will any staff members be working tonight? The staff replies, yes, but they're stuck in the storm. Yad sighs. If it's raining this much, how is Yak going to get here? Yos reassures him. He can't miss your wedding. Yad says, the ribbons are almost finished. I'll go get some more, and leaves. Her mother accompanies her, and Yi joins them as well. The three of them head towards the room. On their way, the lights suddenly go out. Fearfully, they continue forward. A powerful lightning strikes, and suddenly, the floor tiles ahead of them begin to crack and collapse. Panicked, they rush back toward the hall. Yad glances back and sees a ghost, but it vanishes instantly. Terrified, they pick up their pace. Meanwhile, Yak's father instructs Yod to look for his sisters and mother. Pradit volunteers to check, but as soon as he approaches the door, it suddenly slams shut. Yos rushes to open the door but finds it locked. Suddenly, the photo frames in the hall start falling off the walls. At that moment, the lights flicker back on. Yak's father tries to shoot the door open, but the gun is empty. Yos quickly hands him another gun, saying, this one has Yak's bullets. Using that, his father fires again, and successfully the door open. Just then, a ghostly voice echoes through the hotel, and everyone starts feeling drowsy. They struggle to stay awake, but Yi eventually succumbs to sleep. Her mother quickly picks her up and carries her away, but it isn't actually her mother. Just then, Yi's mother regains consciousness and desperately calls out, Yay! Come back here! Back in the hall, the others desperately fight off the drowsiness. Suddenly, Pradit attacks Yak's father. Then he lunges at Yod, followed by Yos. When Yad regains consciousness, she realizes that both Yi and their mother are missing. In a room, their mother hears Yi calling out for help. Suddenly, Yi calls from above, and her doll falls as the ghost appears before her. The ghost grabs her head and starts whispering spells, causing her to weaken. Meanwhile, in the hall, a fight breaks out between Pradit and Yos. Pradit attacks Yos with a knife. Just then, Yod intervenes from behind, saving his brother. Then, their mother is seen holding a weapon, possessed. Yi is with her fake mother and asks, why aren't we going downstairs? But she doesn't respond. Yi then notices in the glass reflection that she is actually walking alone. That's when she realizes the hand she is holding isn't her mother's. Just then, the woman holding Yi's hand turns around, and Yi screams. The woman forcefully shoves her hand into Yi's mouth. Yi manages to open the door behind her and falls backward. As the woman grabs her leg, Yi struggles to crawl forward, grabs an umbrella, and stabs it into the woman's eye. The woman screams in pain, and Yi quickly opens the umbrella before fleeing. Yi rushes to the doors leading downstairs, trying to open them, but they are all locked. Just then, she hears the eerie laughter of the woman. Suddenly, the door behind her swings open, and she sees her mother. She feels happy to see her mother, until she notices the weapon in her mother's hand. Her mother steps forward and says, come to me. Then, she attacks Yi. Yi manages to escape. She encounters another ghost, and terrified, sprints forward. Yi runs into a room, quickly takes off her shoes, throws them outside, and hides behind a table. Just then, her mother enters, searching for her. Yi silently moves to the other side of the table. Her mother notices the shoes outside. At that moment, Yi's hand accidentally touches the tablecloth, causing a jug to tip over. She quickly grabs it and pulls it back just in time. Her mother lowers her head to look in that direction, but then moves forward. Yi carefully places the jug back down. Suddenly, lightning flashes, and we see a ghost right behind her. Yi slowly turns around, only to see the ghost laughing maniacally. She screams and tries to run, causing her to fall to the floor. Just then, she looks up and sees her mother standing over her. Her mother says, "Don't be afraid," before attacking her. Just then, Yo saves Yi. As she lunges forward to attack, Yod grabs her, trying to hold her back, but she pushes him backward, right onto a sharp, dummy elephant tusk. Just as she's about to strike Yod down, a hand suddenly stops her. It's Yak's hand, revealing that he has arrived. Just then, Sarge arrives and fights back against Yak's mother. His mother demands, "How are you not dead?" In a flashback, we see Yak regain consciousness. Sarge tells him it didn't pierce through. He then takes the voodoo doll from Puang's hand and explains, "This is the Mhaud mantra." Yak asks what it means, and Sarge explains that Puang had inscribed the Mhaud mantra onto the voodoo doll, making his skin impenetrable. he adds. You survived because of Puang. Back in the present, Yak quickly pulls something from his pocket and presses it against her forehead. She lets out a piercing scream and collapses. Yad is seen walking through the corridor when she suddenly spots Yi running upstairs. Just then, a woman's ghost appears, haunting her. The ghost violently throws her into a room. Gasping for breath, Yad's visions Yam sitting in the room. Yam says, I really missed you. Yad replies, I missed you too. Yam continues, I'm so happy for your marriage. After the wedding, you'll move to another place. You won't have to endure living here anymore, but you'll leave others behind, escaping alone. Yad protests, that's not true. I never planned to leave anyone behind. I just wanted to forget everything that happened. Yam stands up and says, you'll have a good life, but I won't. I'm suffering so much. She won't let me go. Will you help me? Yad asks, how can I help you? Yam's expression darkens. Can you be my vessel? I want your body. Yad realized that this isn't Yam. In reality, Yad regained her consciousness, gasping for breath. Desperate, she grabs a shard of glass and prepares to stab herself in the hand. But before she can, Yam stops her. She says, give me your body. Then, she forces her hand into Yad's mouth, trying to rip out her teeth. We see that in reality, Yad is trying to pull out her own teeth. After a violent struggle, she finally yanks one out. The ghost eagerly takes the tooth from Yad's hands and, with a maniacal smile, as she is about to put it in her mouth, a sudden noise startles her, causing the tooth to slip from her hand. She quickly looks around. Just then, Sarge arrives and picks up Yad and Yak's voice echoes. Too bad for you. I'm not dead yet. A flashback follows, showing Puang explaining that to kill her, they will need the Wairun Shambang amulet. Suddenly, Yak takes the amulet and urgently asks how to use it. Puang whispers the secret into his ear. Back in the present, Yak is seen wearing the amulet, but he remains invisible to everyone. The ghost asks, Yak, how did you get here? Yak replies, I flew here, and we see a helicopter outside the hotel. The ghost scoffs, you haven't learned anything, have you? She then lets out a piercing scream, shattering the window glass. Suddenly, she grabs Yad and dangles her out of the window. Laughing, she demands, if you don't want her to die, throw that amulet away. Yak pleads, don't hurt my sister. Take me instead. Yak removes the amulet, making himself visible to the ghost. The moment he does, she vanishes, releasing Yad's neck. Yak quickly rushes forward and grabs Yad's hand. The ghost sneers, without Puang's amulet, you're just a dog. Sarge fires at her, but she turns toward him, murmuring a spell that forces him to aim his gun at himself. Meanwhile, Yak manages to save Yad. Yak then picks up a knife and lunges at the ghost, but she grabs his hand and plunges her own hand into Yak's stomach. Sarge collapses to the ground. The ghost taunts, you think your knife can hurt me? She then laughs, sticking her tongue out. You want my tongue? She jeers, laughing maniacally. But suddenly, Yak starts laughing even louder than her. Suddenly, her mouth opens and her tongue extends outward. It is then revealed that Yad, now wearing the amulet, has grabbed hold of it. Seizing the moment, Yak slashes her tongue with his knife and then attacks her relentlessly. Sarge grabs the severed tongue and Yak tosses him the knife. He instantly stabs the tongue, making it vanish. Just then, Yos, Yod, and their father arrive, firing at the ghost. The ghost, now powerless and weak, lets out a guttural growl. Yak kicks her and adjusts a piece of the amulet onto his fist. Grabbing her by the hair, he growls, you messed with the wrong family. At that moment, Huang's voice echoes in his mind. Pound her forehead with the amulet. Yak delivers a powerful punch to her forehead, then strikes 2 more times, embedding the amulet piece into her skull. The ghost lets out a blood-curdling scream, and multiple eerie cries echo as she weakens. Finally, she vanishes into nothingness. The entire family breathes a sigh of relief as Yak drops to his knees. Everyone rushes to him. He says, I finally killed her. Overwhelmed with emotion, he repeats, I finally killed her for Yam. Tears well up in everyone's eyes as they embrace Yak. At a distance, Yam appears, smiling warmly. Yak looks at her, smiling back. As they share a heartfelt family hug, the movie fades to an end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.